Want to start with our signing class. Obviously, really fired up about that. The best class in our conference, the best class in school history, the highest rated class in the Sun Belt, the history of the Sun Belt. So really, really proud of the work we're able to do. Really excited and proud of our staff, how hard they work. Very grateful for those guys. And especially in a season when it wasn't what you wanted it to be. It was a little bit below our expectations. So to be able to put a class like that together, considering our circumstances, talks about the work ethic of this staff, this building, the brand that we have, the tradition that we have, our game day atmosphere that we have. So we got a lot to sell we're thankful for. And then Sunday night being able to get a call about, hey, do you want to go compete in a bowl game? And the answer was absolutely yes. If it's in a Walmart parking lot tomorrow, we'll go do it. So blessed to have that. We got God's favor for sure on that. And awesome opportunity for our seniors to be able to do it versus a rival. So be a great venue for our fans as well to go compete one more time. And I told our team, this is like the NFL. This is a divisional game. You get to play them twice. I think a couple times when I was in Tennessee, we might have played the Jags 3 times, but we're excited about this opportunity, excited about the players that are coming back to compete in this game, and I'll open it up for questions.
David Ware, 24/7 Sports. Going back to the recruiting class, you guys had a little bit of not totally unpredictable in today's world, but a little bit of a juggling act to do. You lost your quarterback who was initially committed to the class, and then you went into, okay, let's go look for where that replacement is. Talk a little bit about that process of identifying your alternatives, keeping those guys in communication enough that you weren't starting from scratch with a relationship, and then being able to make really a pretty quick turn into getting him committed.
Yeah, very proactive on that. I wouldn't necessarily say that we lost a commit either. I think that when you go through a whole year, you start to understand what you need a little bit, and we started focusing our attention on dual threat quarterbacks. And so for us, we always had a vision, and our vision shifted. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it happens for a staff. Sometimes it happens for a player. But it was something we wanted to, as we went through the season, we just thought that that's what we needed more and had a vision for that the whole time, and we were continuing to recruit. And obviously happy with how it played out for us.
It was a very large offensive line class in particular. Now, there were a couple of guys you got that came in from JUCO situations, so you get more game-ready guys there, but you still had a lot of freshmen in there. Talk a little bit about the vision that you guys have of balancing between that developmental group and, on the line of scrimmage, typically I expect it to take a couple of years for guys to really get to that level of competition. But balancing that group along with what you now will start to do as you guys go into the portal in January.
Yeah, and so when you're in each job, you got to figure out how to win in the job you're in. And so at App, for us, we're looking for every competitive advantage we can find and have. I think the high schools are not as recruited as much as they used to. People rely on transfer portal. Transfer portal is like the NFL free agency. It's also expensive. And when you look at Wake Forest and Cincinnati and Texas Tech and Indiana, you look at big budgets. So we want to be a developmental program. We see competitive advantage there for us to go work really hard to recruit and develop high school players. I think it helps your culture long term. You don't, in my opinion, personally, each place is different. At South Carolina, we were probably heavy transfer portal. We had SEC NIL. And here we have culture, we have tradition, and we have a brand. So for us, it was, okay, how do we continue to make this Block A mean something? Well, we want to develop people from our culture from the bottom up and train these guys. So when you take on the transfer portal, you're taking on someone else's culture. You're taking on, they've already been trained 2 or 3 years in a different way. Sometimes they've been 2 to 3 to 4 schools. And we think the offensive line position and defensive line position is really important. We want our leaders to come from that. I remember one of the first staff meetings I was in with Coach Parcells, he talked about your big people have to be your leaders. And I didn't ask him any questions because I was scared of him. The one question I did ask him that day, I was like, hey, Coach, why did you say that? Because I'm fresh out of college. I'm thinking, it's the quarterback. It's got to be the quarterback. He's like, well, what happens when the little pipsqueak wide receiver starts running his mouth in the locker room? The big people stop it. So we want to have leaders on both those those fronts. And I think that it's a line of scrimmage game. I always think that. So we're looking at competitive advantages for us. How do we max out what we have, our opportunities, and we think it's developing high school players.
Moving to the bowl game in particular, there's always a chance at 5 and 7. Something like exactly what happened can happen. Did you guys have any preliminary discussion about, okay, if this were to occur, here's what we're going to need to be prepared to do in response to that?
I think you always prepare for every contingency plan. I wouldn't necessarily say that we were sitting around having conversations. I really didn't get to me. I'm like everyone else. Our players start seeing it on Twitter, and they start texting me. I'm like, I don't get on Twitter very often unless it's recruiting. So I'm like, what are they talking about? And then all of a sudden I start to see the headlines of stories, and all of a sudden you start seeing like next up, and I'm hearing this from our guys. And then I think Doug called me about 8 o'clock and kind of told me, him and Jonathan Reeder, and started telling me, filling me in on what's that. First thing I did, like what's going on with everything. First thing I did was I FaceTime Bass, Will Flowers, Jaden Ramsey, and David Larkins. And I was like, what do y'all think? Like, Coach, let's go. Will Flowers like, Coach, I'll get in the car right now. I'm getting in the truck. I'm driving back. Then I hung up the phone and group FaceTime Sweat and Colton. I said, hey, what do y'all think? Like, Coach, we want to play. Let's go. So then it became, now I'm being proactive. I'm calling Reeder, wearing Reeder out, saying, hey, is this going to happen? He's like, Coach, we're working through this. Like, well, I promise you'll know as soon as we know. And Randy Marion, one of our linebackers, sends me a text. He goes, Walmart parking lot, Coach. I said, you know what my answer was. It was Walmart parking lot. Well, whatever we got to do to play this game. So, and then it happened fast. There's a lot of logistics going on. Nolan and Jonathan Reeder are headed that way to Birmingham now. But what an awesome opportunity for our seniors, for our team to get to do this one more time, to get to practice a little bit more. So you have a little vision for the 2025 team. And then, because it's a 2025 team, but then you have to have a vision also as the head coach, like, hey, 2026. So we want to make this thing fun. We want to win this game. It's a rivalry game that we lost the first one. It's NFL divisional game. We got to split. We got to win the second one. This is the most important game of the season. I say that every week, but this one is. And it means a little bit more because it's a rivalry game. And so for us, like, there's a no-brainer. I'm so blessed to have the administration we have that said yes, because bowl games aren't cheap. And it costs money, and there's bowl gifts, and there's travel, and there's logistics of finals, and you got now all of a sudden there's 2 more weeks of food that we have to pay for our players, and get them all back here and pay for some flights to get back here and all those things. But our guys are fired up. I'm excited. I hope our fans show up like I know they will at this game, in a rivalry game.
One of the logistics you have to manage in this kind of thing, especially in this day and age, is head count. The number of players you've got coming back. You guys have had some players declare their intentions to go into the transfer portal. First question for you, are guys who have declared to go into the portal potentially options to play in this game?
Yes, it is the 2025 team. And I told all those guys absolutely yes. I think you'll be surprised with some of the guys that do play. I expect great attendance. This team's close. The buy-in's there. They care about each other. They care about their school. They care about this Block A. So we are excited about the guys. There'll be, just like everything, there's natural attrition of some guys that won't play. There's a couple guys making decisions on it. But I absolutely think that I'm not the coach that says, nope, you're going to the transfer portal. And the transfer portal works both ways. We're very transparent with our players here about their roles and defined roles and what it looks like going forward for those guys. But when most of them, we have a very healthy turnout. And now, look, things can change. You always get nervous as a coach to make predictions on things, but I feel really good about where we're at. I feel really good about the roster that we're going to have to compete. I feel really good about how excited our players are to compete.
I may have missed it somewhere. I don't know that I ever heard a final prognosis on exactly what A.J. Swan was dealing with injury-wise.
Yeah.
My impression would have been he's not capable of playing again the rest of the season. That made me mistaken. Where are you with quarterbacks right now?
Yeah, I feel good about our quarterback position. The guy who's healthy will play. JJ finishes thing the right way. He would be the starter if we played today, and that room is aware of that, and JJ earned that. So if everyone's healthy, then JJ Cole will be the starting quarterback.
Zach Colburn with Talk Democrat. Coach, to get back to recruiting, there's a lot of talent, in this state, North Carolina. Have you guys made a focus on that, or are you guys just trying to find best player available?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's not as defined as you would like it to be. We always want to start at home, and we want to get the North Carolina kids that care about App State. And when you're trying to build a culture in college football in today's age, like that give a care matter means a lot. So these legacies, that if they're good enough to play here, we want them here. The in-state kids, like that's where we always start there. Every position coach on our staff has a North Carolina area, but we also have great relationships in South Carolina just because we just came from there. And it's a connecting state, and so obviously Georgia's close. We'll go a little bit north, and we'll always dip into Florida a little bit. And I think the when I was talking about this job, when I was coming to interview for this job, one of the selling points to me was the 5-hour radius. There's a lot of good football players in this area, but the most important thing for us is not necessarily where you're from; it's what you're made of. And there's a certain type person, and we talk about smart, tough, competitive. We talk about team captains. We talk about dual sport athletes. The criteria of each position matters more so than where you're from, but it always starts at home.
Lucas Nelson, WLOS Sports. Being your first year, what do you want your players to really grasp from this bowl game?
It's a really good question, and I haven't thought about that. But I say that I have thought about it. I just hadn't been able to articulate it until you asked. Each other, what it means to be part of a team, what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's a pain in the butt to the logistics of this trip because a lot of people had already gone home. A lot of people were in finals, so some were still here. Then there's like the stress of like, how do I get back? These are young college kids. They're not, there's a financial aspect of like, how do I get back? Gas money if I have to fly. We have players in California and a player in Florida and a player in Ohio. So it's like there's stress that comes out. And I told all those guys in the first team Zoom, I go, guys, I don't want you to stress about anything because this stuff's gonna it'll take care of itself. It always does. The people that made plans. Like there were some guys that made plans to do some other stuff because it had been a minute since we played our last game. When you finish that game, either 5-7, you don't think you can get this opportunity. But it's one more opportunity together. And I told a couple of the seniors yesterday, a couple of guys are coming through, kind of trickling back into town and getting lifting and doing those things again. I'm like, guys, I still remember the last time I ever got to put on shoulder pads and a helmet. And you will remember that for the rest of your life. So the fact that we have God's favor and we get to do this one more time together, like I want you guys to embrace the moment and be where your feet are and understand what it is to get to wear the black and gold one last time for these seniors, one last time. Because when it's over forever. And this game will give you so many life lessons, and if you're good to this game, it will be good to you. And I told one of our seniors yesterday, I go, hey, you're going to run a company. This guy's bright, he's smart, he's articulate. Talking about Billy Wiles, I'm like, I hope that one day when you're the leader of a company, like I'm the leader of this program, that you're sitting there and in your mind you're having this, hey, I remember sitting here with D-Lo having a conversation about leadership and being part of a team, and you're going to show grace to people that, because of their circumstances didn't allow the things they wanted to do or had to change a schedule or change a job interview for those things. But to be part of a team one last time, to get to play football for Appalachian State one more time, like it's a blessing.
Coach, just one or two from me. Can you shed some light on how you'll approach the calendar of it is exam week? Guys have sort of turned it off a little bit, and you got holidays and all that stuff of just the general approach you'll take.
Yeah, really good question. That was kind of the hard part of like, hey, first bowl game as a head coach, and it happens this way. Well, it's fitting for this year of getting to go through and do this. But so we're going to bring our guys. We're going to have a team meeting on Friday night. Again, we're calling it re-entry. So we're going to have team meet Friday. A lot of them are gone because of finals. They'd finished their finals. In today's school, it's just the way it is in college. There's online finals, which I hate online classes. I wish that everyone had to go in person because I think life is about relationships, and I think God created us to be relational beings and to be able to communicate. I think you can be highly successful in life, and it doesn't always matter how smart you are, but if you can talk to people, if you can relate to people, if you can get digging rights on someone's heart, I think you have a gift to be successful in life. But so re-entry, we're going to kind of lift on Saturday and Sunday, lift and condition, just getting them back and getting them all the the off time out of their systems, and then we'll practice next week and Monday through Friday, treat it like a game week, and we're treating this kind of like a Super Bowl. Most of the time you get 2 weeks in a Super Bowl, and you try to have the game plan done before you leave to go to the site. So we're going to give them off that Saturday. I believe it's the 20th, all the way to Christmas. We'll have a team meeting in Birmingham. So the advantage for those guys, like if you're a college student, here's your first thought process. Oh no, how do I get back? Oh no, what does this look like? Everyone's scared of the unknown. And we wanted to reassure them of logistically, you were going to be fine. Don't worry, it's going to get taken care of. We got a really good support staff here that's going to help us. You get to spend Christmas at home, which is a factor for everyone. I mean, nothing like Christmas, but nothing like a bowl game either. So we're going to meet up on the 25th down there. We'll get to practice the 26th, 27th, 28th, and play on the 29th. So logistically, it's going to be a tough challenge, but we want to do right by our players' families. The first and foremost, it's always about our kids. And it was, hey, we got to get ready for a bowl game that we get to play. What an unbelievable blessing and opportunity. We want you guys to be able to spend time at home at Christmas, nothing like that, and then give them enough time to get to the bowl site on the 25th to be able to get ready to go win a game.
Maybe just last one, when a few of us got to talk to you last, you were close to being done with that signing class, but not quite done.
Yeah.
Just what are those last 24, 40 hours wait like to then put a bow on that of how that finished up?
Yeah, it was unique because we knew everyone was kind of right there, and we're competing against an SEC school for a pass rusher and offensive lineman in their state, and it was a long way away. But we were able to. We worked really hard the last month of the season to make sure that we're going to finish this class strong. And you're holding on. You've got teams coming after your players, and which is competition. We enjoy competition here, but to be able to get the last two kids, the Harris brothers, to commit, get them to sign. Both of them are going to be good players for us. A developmental offensive lineman that we are high on, and a pass rusher with real length. To be able to get those two and beat the people we beat on them was a big addition to the staff or to this class.